You'll see. Things are quite different here.
Based on the 1973 novel of the same name, The House with a Clock in Its Walls is directed by Eli Roth and stars Owen Visaro as an 11-year-old Louis Barneveld back in 1955, who goes to live with his estranged Uncle Jonathan, played by Jack Black, after the death of his parents. Joined by the next-door neighbor Florence Zimmerman, played by Cate Blanchett, Owen soon finds himself learning how to be a warlock, and hilarity ensues. The oddest part of this movie for me is the director. No one could watch the trailer for this movie and not understand that the target audience is of the much younger persuasion. However, Eli Roth is not exactly known for his kids' movies, with stuff like Cabin in the Woods, Hostel 1 and 2, and The Green Inferno in his portfolio. And that sense of horror creeps its way into the second half of the movie. Now, I fully understand that I am not the target audience for this movie. With that in mind, The House with a Clock in Its Walls is more or less exactly what you'd expect it to be. It doesn't try to explain or flesh out too much of the backstory, and when it does it via these oddly placed, narrated memory vignettes that look like they're being played through a vintage movie projector. It doesn't try to justify any of the random magical happenings and assumes that you will simply chalk anything you see up to magic. End of story. That said, the characters are actually quite a bit of fun, even if the dialogue is stilted and lacking originality. Jack Black is surprisingly likable, which is saying something since I'm not much of a Jack Black fan. And Cate Blanchett is, well, Cate Blanchett, which is to say fantastic because Cate Blanchett is always fantastic. And while I usually write kid actors off as just that, and expect, and more often than not receive, performances matching my expectations, Owen Visaro was very good as Louis Barneveld. And while I wasn't too crazy about the character of Louis, I thoroughly enjoyed the performance given by Owen. All that said, I have two big gripes. Number one, the end game for the big bad, Isaac Izzard, played by Kyle MacLachlan by the way, doesn't make any sense. At all. None of it. The stuff that happens prior to the events of the movie don't make sense. The events that happen during the movie don't make sense. The justification for everything that Izzard does from start to finish makes zero sense. Number two, there's a character in this movie that completely gets the shaft, and that's the house itself. There was so much potential to be had with just exploring the house that is hinted at, but never followed up on. I've seen it done to great effect in far more serious movies than this one, and with far more subtlety than this one. So I wonder why Roth didn't attempt to do more with the character of the house. For a perfect example of what I'm talking about, watch the Spanish horror film The Orphanage from 2007. You'll see what I mean. There are plenty of plot holes and great gaping gaps of background information, but seeing as how it's meant to entertain kids, I'll let that pass. There's entertainment to be had here, and enough juvenile potty humor to get even the most base of kids laughing. For adults, well, for me anyway, most of the jokes are predictable, and while there was one fantastically funny moment, I don't remember laughing at any other point in the film. Smiling, yes. Laughing, no. I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. It might be worth checking out if the kids are interested, or if you're just really big fans of Black or Blanchett. But if you're just looking for a good movie for the adults to enjoy, look somewhere else. And I'll leave it at that. Have you seen The House with a Clock in Its Walls? With Halloween a little more than a month away, do you have a Halloween-themed movie that is a must-see every year? Let's talk about it in the comments, and as always, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you all back here next week with another review.